Hi there, welcome to the Animals Naturally podcast with me, Suzanne. I'm founder of Taranet, a leading international natural animal healthcare resource at taranet.co.uk. The aim of this podcast is to help to give you ideas and tips on how to care for your animal more naturally. In this episode, I'm going to focus on homeopathy. Homeopathy often receives a great deal of divisive opinions, whether it does work or doesn't work. And to be honest, for me, any medicine is not guaranteed to help anybody, no matter where it's from and what it is. Every animal, every person is different. There's a lot of scepticism around many therapies, whether that's homeopathy, herbal medicine or others too. And often that is because there's a belief there's no research proving the benefits. But that's not always the case. And actually there is research proving that different natural approaches, whether it's homeopathy or something else, herbal remedies, do actually work. It's worth bearing in mind about research, veterinary research, about often it's not conducted because of how just really expensive and rigorous they need to be. And I don't mean rigorous as I mean to say that the therapies won't stand up to rigour, but just the whole process is very time consuming, very resource intensive, and ultimately if you're producing something that's from nature and that's actually natural, the investment in it is not the same as producing something in a factory on a large sort of scale. So clinical research can be very expensive, and often the clinical research that takes place is often sponsored by large pharmaceutical companies who don't necessarily have the interest in trialling natural approaches because there's no money in it for them, basically. So back to homeopathy. Will it work for your animals? Well, I think, as I said earlier, does any medicine absolutely always going to work with every animal? Not necessarily. I think many of us who've had animals, or just for our own personal human health, what we find will help us sometimes will help somebody else or another animal, and sometimes it might work really quickly with one person or one animal, and another person it might take quite a few days or longer for a medicine to make any difference. It's worth saying as well that some medicines have quite undesirable side effects, such as drowsiness, loss of appetite or weight gain. This isn't always the case, obviously, but the point of that is that, say, medicines I've got all different side effects, all different impacts. So really, it's best not to be too hung up, I don't think, on what it is, on if it's safe. It's proven to be safe, isn't going to contraindicate with anything else that you're taking, your animal's taking. Then homeopathy, definitely something you should try. So, is veterinary homeopathy expensive? There can be the presumption that natural approaches or homeopathy can be expensive. I think for anybody who's been prescribed conventional veterinary medicine for their pet recently or other animal, is unlikely to found it to be cheap. This obviously depends on where you are located and what the problem is, and prices will vary in lots of factors. And the same is true for veterinary homeopathy medicine too. So it's not necessarily more expensive than anything else. And if you're not going to get a load of side effects and your animal's going to be healthier and happier, then definitely that's got to be worth every penny, I would say. How can you be sure? You may be thinking whether it's worth considering veterinary homeopathy for your pet or other animal. Well, as with anything, do speak to your veterinary surgeon first for advice. Many veterinary surgeons do recommend homeopathic remedies for different ailments, even if they're not specialist veterinary homeopaths. It does depend on what is wrong with your animal. And using an integrative approach, so combining different methods for improving the health of your animal, can be really helpful. There's many veterinary surgeons too who have completed specialist homeopathy training, so you can ask for a second opinion if this is something you would like to explore. The key point is to use homeopaths who are also trained and qualified professional veterinary surgeons. Veterinary medicine is specialist, so whatever is wrong with your animal, getting professional veterinary advice is essential, rather than relying on people who don't have this knowledge. Despite being well-meaning, your animal's health is too important to chance, so with the advice of people who are not properly trained veterinary surgeons, so getting that professional advice is important. As I've mentioned above, if you would like to explore complementary medicine, including homeopathy, and your veterinary surgeon is unclear or even unsupportive, then you can get a second opinion, including from specialist veterinarians who are trained in homeopathy. So why would you use homeopathy for your animal? Well, basically everything is a possibility. As I said before, using in combination with other treatments may be useful, but it can be considered for many ailments and even some behaviour issues. So, for instance, if your animal gets scared of loud noises, gets really excited, so go to shows, for instance, then actually homeopathy can be really helpful. There's remedies like valerian and scutellaria, which are really good for excitability. So it's not necessarily just only for ailments and injuries. So speak to your veterinary surgeon to discuss. And all animals too can potentially benefit, so whether that's your pet, cat, dog, guinea pig, etc., a livestock, or a horse or cows or sheep or a wild animal, veterinary homeopathy may be of benefit. So I think it's worthwhile just going through what homeopathy can be used for, or just talking about whether it's worth trying for your animal, because as I say, there is lots of scepticism about that. And I think for me, having worked in the animal sector for quite a while now, homeopathy does seem to be one of the most divisive topics. But as I said, there's no guarantee with any medicine, and if something's natural, then it's definitely got to be worth considering, particularly if it's not going to have any side effects as well, which unfortunately other medicines can have a side effect. But as I say, the correct application and the right homeopathic remedy is vital. So getting professional veterinary advice is crucial. As I said, some people are quite well-meaning and you find information on the internet which may or may not be helpful. But actually, you've got a duty of care to your animal and making sure your veterinary surgeon is happy with what your animal's being treated with, particularly if your animal is on any other medication or has any long-term health conditions. Then with any medicine, whether it's homeopathy or anything else, getting your veterinary surgeon to be confident that there actually is not going to be any problems with mixing things, that's crucial. Though, say, an integrated approach on the other hand can be really helpful. So it's just getting professional advice. I hope that's been helpful to help you get a better idea of whether homeopathy is worth trying for your animal. If you'd like any more information on homeopathy or any other complementary therapies for animals, then do visit my website at taranet.co.uk. Thank you for listening, and until next time, goodbye.